Hey, it's your boy, Sergeant Hooked on Henshins. Been a while since I've had some content up, but it's mainly because we've been waiting for superhero time to come back into our lives. Let me just say this, because we're reviewing Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 42, eventually Revice as well. But it was, God dang, I was missing superhero time. It was just lots of nice feelings in my heart watching it this week. I know it was off for, I think, New Year's and something else or whatever, but it's been really nice. Um, anyway, so Zenkaiger this week, amazing episode. So the primary focus this time is on Juron again, actually. It's actually kind of a Juron focused episode. Um, the whole point of this episode is that the Kotatsu world monster, which apparently are these like little tables with like heated blankets attached or some kind of heat source to them that you sit under to like relax or whatever, and it makes you relax and kind of, take a load off and blah blah blah. Well, the only problem with it is that some people get like kind of addicted to it, sort of, and so they just like won't do anything and are lazy. So the Kotatsu world monster hits you with the beam, and you sit under the Kotatsu and just don't want to do anything. And eventually you become a cat, of course. Wouldn't be a recent Sentai if we didn't have a episode where the Rangers become cats. um, which is goofy because Gawan eventually has cat ears, even though he already has cat ears. But this episode is really great. They do a lot of really good focus on team building and also on Juron and kind of accepting his role as like the team dad, sort of, which I thought was really cool and something we hadn't really like fully explored, but it makes sense looking back at other episodes that that's kind of the role he fits into. I really like that. They do a really good job focusing on him and how much he appreciates the team and how much he like takes charge and he's like, you know what? All right, well, I got out of this because he's the first to break out of the spell and like realize he's being lazy and get up. And I like how he was just like, all right, I'm out of this. It's time to fix this problem myself. And he kicks some ass on his own. He actually, the first thing he does is they talk about that there's wearable kotatsu things like a blanket that does the same thing and they give them more mobility. She has to go buy one and of course they're all sold out everywhere. He tries putting in an order, it doesn't work. Then I think Seichan calls him on his cell phone. His cell phone ringtone is the Jiragawan like gatai music. So that was pretty funny. And tells him that there's more stuff going on, and something reminds him of that's why something of the theme song plays, and he's like, huh, wait, yeah. So apparently in universe the theme song exists somehow because he just starts like dancing all around town to it, doing the whole, the whole Zenkai, Zenryoku Zenkai dance. And it's really funny. It's really funny to see because like we keep cutting to all these different people watching him and he's like dancing, trying to get them up and dancing with him. It doesn't really work actually, but he's just trying to get people moving and doing stuff. And I also like the running gag in this episode of like the news reports talking about stuff because that's how they find out there's a Toji Tendo world monster at all. The news report comes on and says, the Toji Tendo have created yet another world monster. This one seems to be Kotatsu themed because of the Kotatsu table heated blanket thing. So we eventually keep cutting back to her in different stages of being under Kotatsu and then being a cat. So the big part of it is that we find out that the longer you're under the spell of the monster, you start becoming more like a cat. So pretty much everybody looks like cats. The SD Bot Bros, oh my god, they're so adorable. They're little kitties. Flint and Zox are. The whole team is. It's really funny. But this episode just shows like how much of a heart Zenkaiger has. Like, yes, it's a goofy episode. Yes, it's silly seeing everybody sitting under a doofy ass table and like they can't get up and whatever and they have cat ears and all this other stuff. But like what it really hits on is how much that they truly appreciate each other as a team and how much they all care about specifically Juron in this instance and how he took charge to do what he can to save his team. Because he ends up fighting the world monster on his own for a bit until Brashitara comes in and starts, screwing things up too. Also, Stacy's still being tortured. We'll get to that in a minute. The bigger part of this is, of course, Kaito uses the Pot Ranger gear at one point, and it does the thing where the Pot Rangers combine, the Unity form thing, where they're all three in one, red, green, and pink, whatever it is, in one. It makes their tables, or Kotatsu tables, combine so that they can kind of do a few more things. So they get to the battle there, and they're trying to help him fight and whatever, and Seichan actually takes control of the Crocodile ship, the Two Kaiser and Flint ship. and uses its hook to grab their table and bring them along to the battle. And trying to help fight, not really working. They do all transform with their Katatsu table, so it's all Nya something. Zenkaiger, and all this other stuff with meow in it. And he actually uses the gear his dad gave him. Remember last time, the episode 41, his dad gave him a brand new Sentai gear for Dawn Brothers. And so he uses it. And this is where things get a little tricky. I'm not really sure, because any other Sentai gear they've used so far creates like an illusion or like an apparition of that team, not the real team itself physically. Even to an extent, the Zenryoku Zenkai Cannon and the Gyuto Jinger thing that Stacy uses also just creates basically, empty bodies of those Rangers, right? Well, so this brings out Don Momotaro and his Enradion bike thing, right? Which has effects to it. It has a shadow. It has like when he skids to a stop, it has like tire streak going around. So it looks a lot better than the original picture toy put out. So we get our debut of Don Momotaro, and he's actually really cool. Somebody said online he's kind of like a combination of Lucky and who else did they say? I think Yamato or something. The personality-wise, where he's like a little bit energetic, but he's not too much in your face loud screaming about it, but I like his style. He's very like kind of like reading the battlefield and like keeping a level head about things, and I really like his aesthetic and his style. I love the suit. The suit looks great in action. It really does. I've really enjoyed what the Dawn Brothers looked like since the beginning of their reveal. Even when they were just talking about them as an idea before we ever saw an image of them, a clear image of them. But seeing it in the show made it a lot better to see. So he fights and does some really cool stuff. We see the Zonglass slasher thing, the like sunglasses sword thing that he uses. And Juron's the only one, of course, that's able to fight right now, which is funny because Juron and Raidion become the mecha for part of that season. And I think, pretty sure Juron and Zenkaiser are both supposed to be part of it. They have a rumor right now of a Zenkaiser Black that's supposed to be part of it, and people don't know if that's going to be like Stacy made into like using the Zenkaiser gear and being that, or if it's going to be him and Kaito forcibly combined, and that's how the season's going to end, or what's going to happen exactly with that. But anyway, or like maybe even Kaito controlled as Zenkaiser Black. Anyway, so kind of funny that they set the plot up this way, that Juron would happen to be the only one that was able to break out of the spell first, and him and the mecha, him and Enradion are the ones that combine. Like, just convenient, of course. Good writing on their part. But yeah, he's jumping around a lot. He's very agile, very strong too, though. He ends up using an attack on the World Monster where he like does this around his little like peach little booty butt cheeks that are on his head, and it like traps the monster in the World Monster in this like crystal peach thing, and then he's able to Juron's able to hit him with the Zenkai Blast from his Girtlinger, right? Super Zenkai time. And so they destroy the World Monster. They almost do actually, like, they kind of kick Brashitaro's ass a little bit too. And they release everybody from being cats and from being, under the kotatsu tables and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hey, he's like, he says something about acquaintances like him you'd like to forget, huh? Basically saying like, this guy's a jerk, let's get rid of him. But again, he's got like a cool nature to him already. He's definitely like I really like Don Momotaro so far and how he's presenting himself and being very like level-headed and cool on the battlefield, very calculated, still can be funny and can be energetic, but isn't always like screaming all the time, which I get can be a lot for some people when Reds are like that. Like for a while, people didn't like Juru last season with Kira Major because of that. I didn't care that much because I'm like that myself, but I understand that not being, everybody's cup of tea. So anyway, so he ends up, I want you to take Enradion for a ride, and he's like, really? Okay. And so he runs out there, and we finally get Don Zenkai Gatai, and we get Don Zenkai Juron, yeah, or Don Zenkaio, yes. So half of it's Enradion and half of it's Kili Juron. They connect or whatever. And they fight, and it's actually pretty good. It's all in CG. There was one practical shot of like the boot with the booster on it that was a practical shot randomly. Then the rest of it was CG. It was decent CG, honestly. If they are really going to go the route of just doing CG for the mecha fights going forward, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I still would like to see some practical suit fights because that is kind of the magic of Super Sentai is that these it really sells the idea of these being like physical, actual, mechanical creations that are fighting, But I mean, if it's going to be CG that looks decent right now, this is not to have any clue or opinion on how Kiji brother and Sour brother, or not Sour brother, Kiji brother and the dog one are going to look, black and pink. But I have high hopes. I mean, hopefully it looks okay. We'll see. Anyway, so they attack and they do like basically a rider kick with blaster. It was a Don blaster kick or something like that. Then do their Don Zenkai crash or whatever, their final attack with the sword, and they destroy the world monster. As a Neo-Krita test and all that. So yeah, so then Don Charles lands and he gets back on Radion and he's like, all right, he's like, well, I'm glad I can help you out, blah, blah, blah. And wow, look at that. The sky's blue here. Well, let's cheer about that. And they're like, okay. And he keeps adding like Don to things that he says, which I think might be like a gimmick of his because of the whole Don Brothers thing. So that was interesting. And then he just kind of dips out. And even Zox and a few other people on the team are like, he sure is doing a lot more than the other illusions do. Alluding to the fact that I don't think he's an illusory Sentai Ranger. I think that he is, in some way, Kaito's dad has now created his own Sentai. Like, at least the gear, and then it took Kaito putting it into the Geartlinger and, pressing the gun, the firing thing to create him. Now, I don't know how that translates into how he transforms and all of that, because he came in already in suit. And supposedly he's supposed to use a Geartlinger at first and then eventually the Dawn Blaster. So again, I'm not sure how that's all going to work out exactly. But yeah, it would seem that he created a new Sentai. So kind of weird. But yeah, and different from like all the other Sentai gears they use, which just brings like, fabrications, fashmeals, if you will, of those Rangers, silhouettes, ghost apparitions, whatever you want to say, of those Rangers. So it was really cool. It was a really interesting way to debut him, but also he didn't outshine Juron, and it still like ended on being a Juron-focused episode, which I really liked about it. And it was interesting too. We see Stacy in prison. He's talking about how he never thought that Idrio was smart enough to actually rat him out, and basically talking shit. And then Gege comes in and is like, "Oh, how are you doing, Stacy?" And he's like, "I don't have anything to say to you." Blah blah blah. And he stares at him, and his eyes glow. Gege, and something comes out of him and goes into Stacy and he takes control of him. And next episode shows him like kind of trying to work with the Zenkaigers. One of two ways. Either Gege is literally trying to work with the Zenkaigers and wants to like use them, or three ways. Really actually good, actually evil going to screw them over, or actually evil going to use them to like kill Ijirud and a few other people to put himself at the top, maybe even weaken Bokawa so he can take over. Because there are also rumors circulating that in Dawn Brothers, Toji Tendo is not done after Zenkaiger, and they'll be part of what's happening for Dawn Brothers. At least Gege. So I don't know if that means all Toji Tendo or just Gege. But yeah, so Gege's controlling Stacy, which before I saw the episode made me sad because I was like, yes, yeah, Stacy's actually joining the team. But there's still like 7 episodes left, so there's time if they want to do that. I do like them playing with that though, that they know everybody's like wanting that to happen and playing with that idea of like, oh no, he's definitely joining, But yeah, it was a really good episode. And honestly, I probably would get it honestly a straight 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was really strong. I think they did a really good job to focus on Juron. They gave Don Momotaro his great debut, but his debut did not overshadow the rest of the episode. And I liked that. Because that can happen sometimes when you have something new debuting. May it be somebody from the next season, a writer or something like that, or may it be a new mecha form or a new ranger or whatever. Sometimes they overshadow the entirety of the episode if it wasn't all about them, and then it's like the rest of it didn't really matter. But no, they like really do like hone in on the fact that Juron is kind of like the dad of the group, and then he's always very protective over them and wants them to succeed and blah blah blah. So that was really good. So like I said, strong 10 out of 10 for sure. Coming up on the channel, I'm gonna definitely review Clearly Revised for this week. Will be the next review I do. I'm hoping to do a little bit more before we move. We're actually on the cusp of moving, selling this house and then getting into our new house. So there's probably going to be a gap of content there. Maybe we'll try to record on my phone or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so like I said, if you really enjoyed the episode, let me know what you guys think of the episode in the comments down below. Let me know, did you guys love it? Did you hate it? Did you like Momotaro's debut? Did you like Enradion? What did you think of the episode and the debut of a new ranger for the next team? What do you think? Do you think he was like an illusory apparition like the rest of the summoned rangers, or is he physically there and was created technically by Kaito and Isao? Yeah, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you for liking, disliking, sharing, watching the videos. I appreciate you guys. Subscribe today for more Toku content. But as always, stay hooked on Henshins. I'll talk to you later. Finger guns never gonna die. Bye-bye.